Okay. Hello. How's it going? Um, Sorry I kept you waiting. We got a lot of things to discuss on stream today. I hope everyone is doing well. Um, we got some Naoki Hamaguchi interviews. We also got some Naoki Yoshida interviews to discuss. Very, 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 very interesting day, loaded with some news. I hope you guys are excited to discuss it all. Um, so yeah. I beat the first playthrough of Type Zero on PSP. I understand why Japanese fans made it so Type Zero HD was easier. I don't think they made a final dungeon that hard before that game or after. I was on par with the enemies level wise too. Yeah. Type Zero on PSP is fucking hard, bro. It's way hard. It's mega. It's it's a lot. It's a lot. They definitely made that shit harder. I mean, easier for the HD version. Anyways, um, I hope you guys are excited for today because there's just so much. What's cracking, King? Nothing. Lots of good things happening behind the scenes, actually. So we're gonna have a very, very, very good time, I think. Yeah. Other than that, in this interview that we're going to be going over today, let me turn my second AC off. I have two. Um, in this interview that we're going to be going over today, Hamaguchi basically says Rebirth has sold better than people think that it has. Uh, but there's still kind of a catch. He doesn't really say what better actually is. Like, it's never, there's no numbers. But apparently, he says Rebirth has done better than everyone thinks that it's done. Rebirth selling well doesn't surprise me after Summer Games Fest and Revelation being announced. Switch 2 version pushed it up a lot higher for sure. The Switch 2 console is selling amazing right now, so a higher player pool to pull from. Yeah, it's doing really well, especially doing well in Japan. Uh, and so, of course, it's probably boosting the sales of the series. Are they waiting until the financial reports? It's a good question. I honestly don't know. I don't know why they can't just say it. And if it hasn't been bad, then I don't know why they also just don't say it. He said it exceeded internal expectations. Yeah. And so I'm just like, why don't they just say the fucking number? You can really dispel, um, if the number is good, you can dispel all of this by just saying what the number is. And then the discourse ends immediately. And in fact, it turns on all the people who were naysayers tearing the game down. And yeah. So if I were them, if it is really good, I would just say the goddamn number. It would definitely save them some stress. I mean, like, what the fuck? Okay, so let's go ahead and get into some of today's news. We're actually going to start not with the Hamaguchi interview, but I think a better place to start. What the fuck? Is that not the right one? Well, we'll make it the right one. And then if we zoom in, if we. Oh my god. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Right. So I want to start with this Naoki Yoshida interview. Yoshi P says he is looking for ways to make Final Fantasy XIV's 5 expansions and hundreds of hours less daunting for new players. I understand why he would want to do this. There is a lot of content in Final Fantasy XIV, and even if you are just going straight through MSQ, I mean, we're still talking hundreds of hours to get through the game. Now, obviously, from a more artistic perspective, this is the way that you'd want to experience the story in its release order and in the chronological way in which events happen. However, the way FF14 is generally set up is not really good from a capitalist POV because it means that players cannot see the newest, most impressive content straight away. They need to play through tens of hours of content and then they can get to it, right? This is also somewhat of a problem because A Realm Reborn is not getting any younger. ARR is the roughest part of Final Fantasy XIV, narratively and gameplay wise, and it's really tough to have someone spend that much time in part of the game that is over a decade old and has not aged nearly as well. Decade and a half, close to a decade and a half old now ish. It's getting somewhere there. Actually, how old is it? It's somewhere around there. Maybe 12 years, 13 years now. Gameplay has also gotten more and more boring and worse every expansion. Yeah, that's another thing too. Because as they figure out like the new abilities and stuff, a lot of stuff from old expansions, a lot of the older expansion gameplay kind of suffers for it, and the rotation that you do during that old content tends to not be as fun. So yeah, ARR is fine. Heavensward is the roughest IMO, especially with the current combat. I don't know, man. It's been so long since I've touched, uh, or I haven't really touched too much of 7.0 since then. But I'm looking to come back to the game with Evercold. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the article here from PC Gamer. It says Final Fantasy XIV may be an MMO, but it certainly never sacrificed the series' talent for excellent storytelling. It's stuffed with incredible world building, a cherished cast of characters, and heart-wrenching story beats that'll get players shedding a tear from just hearing a few notes from a song that played during a cutscene. It is, however, also a story that requires hundreds of hours to experience the full breadth of its narrative across A Realm Reborn and 5 media expansions and a 6th one on the way. While Square has pruned quests here and there in an attempt to streamline the experience, it's a hell of a lot of game to ask new players to commit to. I've had the good fortune to be playing since the beginning, but I can say with absolute certainty that if I was only starting the game, I'd be damn near paralyzed by how daunting the new player experience is, especially if you want to play with friends who are already across the finish line. Yeah, this is true. Something about like Final Fantasy XI, for example, is that with FF11, you kind of don't have to play the expansions in order. As long as your level is high enough, you can kind of just go and tackle that expansion and like it's fine. Whoa, we got some super chats. Holy shit. First of all, my guy's subtext, thank you so much. Your title can't be true. Everyone knows Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was absolute trash, and its awful sales was was karma for disrespecting the OG, where then they lied and called Part 1 a remake. Did I do that right? Thank you so much, subtext. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, it is crazy. I would say whether Rebirth sold well or not, irregardless, I don't think it has anything to do with the way Part 1 ended. And I don't like the way Part 1 ended personally. But I don't think it has anything to do with the ending of 7R. I know that sounds crazy, but I actually think that the ending of Remake was kind of a non-factor in Rebirth sales. I actually think that it simply comes down to, at a higher level, uh, the Final Fantasy brand was on a decline, right? And that's why you also saw that same decline with Final Fantasy 16, and it's more rooted in that than it is rooted in like how most people felt about the ending, if that makes sense. Giant Monkey Butt, thank you for this super chat. Played through A Realm Reborn again recently, and it's rough. They need to delete so much MMO pointless fluff, and just do every main story beat for MSQ. It'd be so much better. I agree. I kind of think that it's entirely possible to just streamline A Realm Reborn down even further. Like, I don't understand. Like, you could definitely go back through that and just like cut a lot of the filler quests. And there are so many filler quests in A Realm Reborn. There's so much stuff that could just be completely cut down. And that's one of the ways that you do this, right? I think you go back through A Realm Reborn and you cut down some of the quests. And I think that honestly, a lot of MSQ, even in the expansions, could probably see a streamlining of their quest structure and making them more lean. Now, the problem with doing that, however, is that even streamlining and cutting down stuff still requires a lot of work. There's a lot of technical work on the back end that goes into cutting down expansions, right? And so it's not as easy as unchecking boxes to make sure that those quests aren't required anymore. You have to rewrite the connective tissue for some of those quest beats. And that takes time and money, and it cannot be done overnight. So that's a problem. I also don't think it's base A Realm Reborn that's kind of the issue with length. I think it's post A Realm Reborn, like 2.x, that has a lot of the long fluff to it, and a lot of stuff that ends up making it take a lot more time than it needs to be. A Realm Reborn isn't that bad. I honestly feel more from adding voice acting to it. Some of the quests could be dropped, but they already have to pay to skip. I actually kind of agree with you, bro. Like, I think that A Realm Reborn wouldn't be that bad if it had more voice acting to it. That's something that the expansions do have that make them a lot more bearable. And so something that fans have been wanting for a really long time is for them to just go back through and redub A Realm Reborn, right? Use maybe the current cast, but also add a fuck ton more voice acting. I think that one of the problems with A Realm Reborn especially is that as a new player, you're playing through it and you're just like, almost none of this dialogue is voiced, and this takes so long to get through. A Realm Reborn has a tendency to start out a cutscene with voices, uh, then after a few sentences, fade to black and switch to no voices. Right, and that type of stuff, I think, leaves a worser player impression than anything else. So I agree with you guys. I think that's also an option, other than just cutting it down, is that uh, adding some voice acting alone would help. I just started 14. When should I start skipping text? There's too much padding. I think that this is like a Creative Studio 3 problem in general, because this problem also exists in Final Fantasy 16, where I think things that could be said in like very directly and in a couple of text boxes and not need to be dragged out become like full on monologues of, fucking brick wall of text. And I just don't think that it's necessary a lot of times. Characters in 14 like to wax and wane too much, especially in A Realm Reborn. Especially, the characters just go on and on and on. Yeah, and the Scions talking in older English also doesn't help, and I don't just mean Urianger. Yeah, that's another thing too. Is that they kind of ease up on that in the expansions. But if you go back and play A Realm Reborn, it is thick in very old English that I feel like most people trying to play and get through are just like, yeah, whatever the fuck, bro. Um, yeah, well, that's because like I don't know, I don't think Japanese has like an old English equivalent. At least to my knowledge, I may be wrong on that, but to my knowledge, it doesn't really have kind of like there's kind of like older forms of Japanese, but I don't know if they have anything quite like Old English that's commonly used. If anyone is more knowledgeable about the language, please feel free to correct me on that because that's just what I've heard and I don't know how accurate that is, and I'm still learning the language. So, Kabuki uses a style like Old English. Yeah, they do have like a lot of archaic ways of saying things, but I don't know if they have like if it's felt the same way as Old English is. Um, like there's like definitely like the way samurai talk. It's not commonly used, but it was like the way they talked around the era of samurai and stuff. Yeah, that's what I thought, right? But I don't think that I think that like they only use samurai talk if it's samurai, right? Like if it's actual like a story about samurai. I don't know if they use like I don't think I've ever seen them use like samurai talk for castles and like Western fantasy, right? I think it's like specifically used for like an old Japanese setting. And I don't think they ever use it for old Western. Samurai talk, yeah, I know. That's like, there's probably a more proper way of saying it. Like Edo period, yeah. But yeah, yeah. Even Koji Fox said he went way too hard on the Shakespearean English in A Realm Reborn. Yeah, I'm sure that Japanese does have like equivalents to these things that I'm not fully aware of, but um, yeah. The equivalent language to Old English to Older Japanese was a topic of discussion with localization for Vagrant Story, if I recall correctly. It's like it doesn't translate quite the same. Yeah, that's what I've always been told. Is that like yes, of course there are older versions of Japanese like any language, but it doesn't have the same meaning or vibe that Old English does, and it's used in fiction in like ways that are not equivalent to the way that Old English is used. And we could be on this all day, but the point of the matter is, yeah, from what I've heard of the Japanese version of 14, it does not have anything equivalent to the Old English that is used in A Realm Reborn. Anyways, the second one involves a system. Wait, did I skip something? Oh yeah. Um, it's something that it's something that director and producer Naoki Yoshida seems to be thinking about as well, especially as upcoming expansion Evercold marks the official beginning of the MMO's next arc, the Godless Realm Saga. In fact, he's considering two things right now. He told me the press during a media Q&A at Berlin Fan Festival, though he's being rather secretive about both of them. The first one is something we will carry out at Evercold's release, or before Evercold, he said. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So there's already something cooking that's going to be launched with 8.0? What? We didn't even know. The second involves a system, but we're currently reviewing the possibility of this. we're still considering the feasibility and addressing whether or not we would be able to introduce the system. And for these things that I'm talking about, there is a non zero possibility of us being able to implement it for 8.0. So there is a possibility that we could make it. Okay. So they also have this system that they're working on, and they don't even know if it's going to be like launching within Evercold's launch window. But apparently, they're thinking about something that is going to allow players to fast track to the latest content. Yoshida admits he's previously been hesitant to allow players to potentially skip expansions or story, but the MMO's grown so much that a potential solution is becoming unavoidable. I had previously said I want players to enjoy the story, so I would like to have them have a so I would like them to have a fresh experience right from A Realm Reborn. But now we are at this point. We've begun thinking about accommodating these kind of requests. As for when we can find out more, Yoshida hinted towards more details at the Tokyo leg of FanFest, which will happen at the end of October. But overall, he's thinking very positively about the possibility of incorporating something and accommodating those requests. Honestly, I was surprised when Yoshida didn't do this for Dawntrail, considering Endwalker marked the end of the Heidelin Zodiac saga. Yeah, I agree. I really agree. I thought that he would have done that for 7.0, right? Because 7.0 was the start of the Godless Realm saga, and therefore it would have made the most sense to streamline stuff for that. Just to like try to start doing that now with 8.0 feels a little weird. Weird time to launch it, but yeah. They said they would let you skip to a Dawntrail, but then suddenly that wasn't happening anymore. Looks like he changed his mind. 7.0 was not the start of the new saga. Evercult was the start. Dawntrail is not connected to any saga. Damn. Is that legit? Because it kind of looked like that from the graph. But that's actually fucking funny if it's not. Dell, thank you for the tier 1 and thanks for being with us for 25 months, brother. Not connected, laughing my ass off, bro. I know. If that's true and it's not connected to either saga, I think that's actually like really fucking funny because that feels like they're doing Dawntrail wrong, bro. That feels like we're just gonna sweep that one under the rug, kind of thing. And I don't feel like 14 does that ever. Even 1.0 is still incredibly canon to the story. Obviously, they're not decanonizing it, but it is kind of a little bit of a rug sweep, don't you feel like? That is kind of crazy to say. I'm catching up on the past couple of minutes, but I don't think 7.0 is the start of a new saga. Filler arc? Damn. Yoshi literally said about Dawntrail, we see how people will react to the story. We don't know where we will go. I mean, that's true. Roy Mustang, thank you for the sub. NSP, have you seen the trailer for Silver Palace? Check it out if you haven't. I have not. In fact, I don't even know. What is that? Is that an anime or a game? Oh, it's a game. Interesting. I'll check that out. Thank you so much, Roy. Um, Filler episode. Damn, you guys fucking hate Dawntrail in chat. Listen, to be clear, I don't have a take on Dawntrail. I haven't played it. Or I started playing it and then I stopped. But I have not played deep enough in it to have like an opinion on it. But I'll tell you one thing though. I was not like a very big 6.x fan. That's kind of like when the game started like failing me. Bro, you'd be the biggest hater if you actually started playing it. I probably would be, knowing myself. And knowing that the people whose tastes I value, it seems to like line up. Yeah, I would not be terribly surprised. Giant Monkey Butt, thank you for another super off topic, but will you play Beast of Reincarnation? Oh, brother, you can bet that I will be playing the living hell out of Beast of Reincarnation. The writing in 16 wasn't that great either. I think people pretending it was super deep or mature. Uh, yeah, I didn't find it that great either. Um, let's continue. Where the fuck were we? Oh, yeah. As for when we can find out more, Yoshida hinted towards more details at the Tokyo leg of Fan Festival, which will be happening at the end of October, but overall, he's, quote, thinking very positively about the possibility of incorporating something and accommodating those requests. Oh, wait, we did just read that part. My bad. Skip down. Um, It wouldn't surprise me if it wouldn't surprise me if it's the expansion Yoshida has in mind. If the game does end up offering a secondary start point, it's essentially a bridge between the old and the upcoming one, and feels like if it's fits best besides Evercold. I can understand the concerns about the narrative holding less weight if you've experienced one base game and 5 expansions of it, but it's also a big ask, and why Final Fantasy XIV appears to be the golden goose of Square Enix. Any way to make the MMO more enticing to newcomers feels like a win. Yeah, and that's the end of the article. Um, I mean, this is just one of those things where, publicly traded company, you have to keep those numbers growing, and in order to make number go up, you have to accommodate for as many people as possible. And one way in which you do that is to create a funnel that everyone can fall through. And the current way in which you get through the game is very long. In fact, it's one of the reasons that the free trial keeps expanding. They keep expanding that trial so that you will get hooked into the game and hooked into the story and keep playing because you're not being charged for anything. It's free to download. You don't have to pay for any subscription fee. And while the game is cooking on you and you slowly get into it, by the time you get to Shadowbringers, you will be so invested in the game that you will sub by that point. However, this also makes you wonder what would happen for the trial, right? Because if you're able to just skip through all that and go straight to current content, you'd be paying money faster. So I actually think this is something that financially benefits them as well. Do you really want players seeing 10-year-old content, or do you want them seeing the latest offering from the studio? Business wise, you want them seeing the latest offering from the studio. Final Fantasy XIV, I think, is one of the few MMORPGs that makes you play through all of the content. I think World of Warcraft doesn't, FF11 doesn't. It's one of the only ones I know that makes you play every expansion in order. And unfortunately, that is a roadblock as far as getting new players to the latest content is concerned. Roy, thank you for another super, brother. I've reached the Gongaga region in FF7 Rebirth, skipping all cutscenes, dialogue, and only playing the main story, combat activities, and Queen's Blood, which rocks and is better than the main game. Well, I'm glad you're finally getting through it, brother. Um, but that being said, Queen's Blood is by far my favorite mini game as well. Probably the best mini game in the series, if we're just speaking realistically here. Which I never thought they would be able to one up Triple Triad, but they did it, I think. During the Anaheim Fan Fest, a lot of things clicked into place for me. I could be wrong, but I felt 7.0 was focused on graphics, dungeon designs, and other bits. But I think the 18 was probably focused on the story arc, starting with 8.0, the massive combat overhaul that's coming, and other systemic updates with 8.0. Yeah, it really makes me want to. It really makes me curious on where they're going with 9.0, because it feels like they're gonna go even further there, and maybe even further with 10.0, right? Like, all of this is preparing the game for its next decade of life. So it's exciting. I don't know what they could do story wise to catch people up. And also, too, Final Fantasy XIV fans are going to hate this. They hate anyone skipping a single text box of dialogue, and they think that they will, yeah, everything will disintegrate. The whole, like, the servers will just explode if there is someone out there skipping any story in Final Fantasy XIV. I don't think that'll happen. I do think it is a big problem from the perspective of the company and getting new people into playing the game. So if they come up with a really suitable mechanic for people to be able to get through all of this content faster and implement a system that lets people get to the latest content as soon as possible, I'd say that's great. So would you say that FF14 follows more of a story-based gacha formula than a typical MMO formula when it comes to how they want you to play it? Yes. I would say that. That being said, I might be entirely speaking out of my ass because 14 is the only MMO that I've ever really sat that kind of time in. With that being said, with gacha games, I feel like it's also maybe a bit easier to do, especially with modern gacha games where they feel more like AAA games. I kind of blame Yoshi P for that community environment being created, always being like, don't skip, just play the story, and players have taken that to the extreme. Yeah. Okay. Now it's time to talk about FF7 Liberation. I don't think we were saying that it's like a gacha game, but I guess we were saying that like it's more like how gacha games make you go through like the entire story versus like a lot of MMOs like World of Warcraft, for example, or Final Fantasy 11, where the expansions are not linear. Yeah, and not in the sense that like, oh, it feels like a gotcha. Yeah. Basically, yeah, we're saying that like other MMOs, the story progression is not like linear, basically. Roy Mustang, thank you for the super. I want a PvP version of Queen's Blood, brother. We all do. Didn't someone make one? Is that still up? Is that still being hosted? I hope it is. It was really cool. Okay, so we are back yet again with another interview from Naoki Hamaguchi. And this time he is saying that the trilogy is selling extremely well. This comes after years of discourse now around how well this trilogy is doing. From the first game, people discussing how well it was selling versus Final Fantasy 15, and now even more so Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So let's go ahead and get into this interview. With him saying, first of all, congratulations on announcing FF7 Revelation in the finale of Summer Games Fest 2026. How has the response been so far? Hamaguchi, thank you. The response has been extremely positive. After the event, I probably did interviews with more than 30 media outlets across North America and Europe, as well as interviews with Chinese media. I think I spent about a week doing interviews nonstop. I believe it. I read all of them. I believe it. Even with the previous game, I don't think we received this much attention or this many requests for interviews. It made me feel that a huge number of people are paying attention to this last chapter of the trilogy, and I'm incredibly grateful. Let's see if we can zoom in like a little bit more. Nah, it messes with the cropping. Zoom out. Okay. Was there any particular fan reaction to the FF7 Revelation announcement that left you surprised or an impression on you? What pleased me the most was the exact things we were aiming to convey across the fans directly. While characters are obviously important, our goal with Revelation's reveal was to create a trailer that would draw attention to the gameplay experience. Whether it's flying freely around the world aboard the Highwind, battling the weapons, or the fit system, and the way it adds depth to combat, I feel people really noticed those aspects of the game. There was also a lot of focus on how much player agency the gameplay offers, so I felt that our message landed. At the same time, people also talk about characters, costumes, animations, so I think our trailer managed to accomplish everything we were going for. I was a little surprised, though happy, with the amount of attention Vincent's cross belts receive. I think the trailer certainly showcased those elements very clearly. Hamaguchi. From the first announcement, we wanted to clearly communicate the features and key characteristics that define the appeal of Final Fantasy VII Revelation. In that sense, we managed to get off a very strong start to its time. Sorry. In that sense, I feel like we've managed to get off a very strong start this time. The heated fandom discourse tells us people care about what we're making. Oh boy. Oh boy. It's a good thing that you're punching other people, chat, through the internet. It's a good thing that you're in the trenches of internet discourse. Has there been any player feedback that made you think maybe we should incorporate this? Obviously, a project of this scale won't change based on one person's opinion, but I'm curious. Hamaguchi, after this announcement specifically, there wasn't much that made me think we've got to add this. However, I've always closely monitored players. Responses throughout the FF7 remake series based on feedback from those who played Rebirth and were making changes in this new game, such as mini games and skippable We're making changes in this new game, such as making mini games skippable and adjusting rewards. When I spoke about these improvements in interviews, I was happy to see comments from players saying things like, I personally don't care for minigames, but if that's your reasoning, I'm willing to accept it. It reminded me that if you truly listen to player feedback and try to strike the right balance based on it, people really recognize that. When it comes to gameplay and game design, especially playability, I believe we absolutely have to keep listening to players and minimize points of frustration where we can. The core story and message we want to tell through this remake, and something we as creators will remain firm on. The core story and message we want to tell through this remake are something we, as the creators, will remain firm on. But when it comes to gameplay, we'll always be closely attuned to player feedback and keep looking for ways to improve and eliminate sources of frustration. Don't eliminate too much frustration, though. Otherwise, you'll have me in here talking about friction again. I don't know. That's what drew me to play FF14 back in the day, because I used to play mini MMOs in the past, and they never gave any kind of direction. It was always, here is our mess. Go navigate our shit. Yeah, that's really fair. Uh, a little bit of hand holding, I think, in MMOs actually is kind of good, at least for people that aren't normally in the MMOs. So they're willing to listen for the fans for gameplay, but not story. They are sticking to their vision for story, which I respect. Right. Gameplay makes sense to listen to people's feedback on in some scenarios. And sometimes not in others, right? Because sometimes if people are complaining about certain things, you actually do need to disregard them. However, I think in this case, this is a pretty acceptable case for like listening to players. I feel like if a game isn't giving any frustration or is frictionless, it means the game isn't memorable. I agree. There actually should be some frustration at times. Like you should not try to minimize all frustration. Sometimes a game should make you want to pull your fucking hair out. I think that's actually a good thing when the game is a little bit frustrating. Obviously, you don't want it frustrating for like meaningless things or just to be frustrating. But there are times where you want it to be brutal and that do make you like want to snap your controller in half just a little bit. Just a little bit. Because that's the friction, bro. That's the game part. That's the that's the part of it that makes it fun to me. L take, L take, L take. You'll never make it through hard mode, brother. NSP and Castle Mark. Castle Mark just sucks, bro. That was not fun friction. That was just ass cheeks. That was just bad combat design. So like I said, there is bad frustration. But every now and then there does need to be uh good frustration too. We need frustration, not FF16 rings. I agree, Blitz. When it comes to complaints, listen a bit, but also remember that Twitter is not representative of real life. There are echo chambers on there. One of my favorite things to do is that I go on Twitter and like I'll see discourse and everyone's circle jerking to an idea. And then I'll go on YouTube and I'll poll people about that exact same idea. And on YouTube, the result will be the exact opposite of like what I just saw 10,000 people circle jerking to on Twitter. And I used to do that to make sure that I wasn't losing my sense of reality when I would go on there and I would see people just endlessly circle jerking to takes that I felt were like completely out of touch with reality. And then that would make me go, oh, okay. Algorithms are just fucking with me right now. This is not what most people actually think. It's just like a minority of people who are all retweeting one dumbass and all boosting his take because they're also dumb. And they make it look like it's a lot of people. And then you go outside of that circle, and then it's actually not even a lot of people that think that. Sometimes it's like a 1% or less than 1% thing. But because that less than 1% finds community in each other and they all upvote each other's bullshit, that 1% ends up looking like the majority when they're actually not. This is how algorithms can fuck you up so bad, bros, is because they can make certain things look like everyone thinks one way, and then people actually don't think that way. But they'll make you feel alone when you're the fucking normal. Sometimes the only people there are on Twitter. Yeah, I know. Has there been any player feedback that made you think maybe we should? Oh, wait, I just read that one, right? Eliminate sources of frustration. Okay, cool. Let's go down. The series tends to generate a tremendous amount of discussion, whether it's about the number of minigames, the story, or even character shipping. How do you feel about that? Hamaguchi. I'm grateful for it. Games are a medium, a community, and a culture. Morello, thank you for the super. I'll read that in a second. While a culture has certain unchanging aspects, I believe it only truly shapes into a culture when people discuss it with many different perspectives. If everyone looked at something the exact same way, I think it might not leave a lasting impression and could fade into obscurity over time. The fact that the community is so active, that conversations happen, and debates keep erupting is kind of entertainment in itself. When people discuss and get heated about minigames, the story, or relationships in Final Fantasy VII, I think that only happens because we see value in those elements. I'm proud that this series has enough depth and capacity to inspire those kinds of discussion, to inspire those kinds of discussions. Sorry. That's insane. That's insane, bro. That's insane. Um, so yeah, Hamaguchi says it's fine to be in the trenches fighting people about this stuff because that keeps you talking about the game, which means the game had to be good because everyone is willing to kill each other over it. And usually good video games will do that. They will make you commit homicide. Morello, thank you so much for the super chat. What was rough about the junction in FF8? I think that just a lot of people found it repetitive to sit there and to stock like the max amount of magic in order to boost your stats. But FF8, I think, is a better game when you play it suboptimally. When you just casually enjoy FF8 and you don't try to min-max it, it becomes a great game. But yeah, if you min-max FF8, you will fucking hate that game. Most people want to min-max it, and don't get me wrong, I do consider good game design to be game design where you can enjoy it while min-maxing it. But FF8 is like built for you to not do that. I think that they didn't want you to do it in a lot of ways. And the game honestly doesn't require you to do that. But people want the max stats, so they do it. But I think it's not required. I'll tell you what, if you play FF8 Remastered, use the cheat that lets you draw maximum magic every time you draw. And you will be a little bit overpowered. But you're going to have a way fucking better experience than playing it vanilla like it was like kind of originally released. And you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I like FF8." But if you play FF8 like if you play FF8 the way it was released and as intended, you probably won't enjoy it as much. I like FF8, but don't try to min-max it. Just draw enough magic as you need to get by in the story, and don't sit there and do it all day, and you'll like it. I agree. I initially thought I was supposed to draw everything, and it burned me out. Yeah. It'll burn you out hard. Just use the cheat to let you draw 99 magic every time you draw, and then you'll just cruise through FF8 and it'll actually feel great. You'll actually like really enjoy it. I promise you. That's like the ideal way to play the game. If the game set hard caps on how much you could draw until you upgrade it bit by bit, it'd be better. Yeah, there are definitely ways in which FF8 Remake could fix the design of Final Fantasy VIII. So continuing the interview, this is where things get contentious. This is where things get insane. This is the namesake of the stream. There's been a lot of discourse around the sales of the Final Fantasy VII Retrilogy. Has Rebirth sold well? Has Rebirth not sold well? People go back and forth on this every day. Rebirth sold bad because it betrayed the fans of the original. Rebirth actually sold good and actually honors the original. Whichever take you stand on here, Here is what the director has had to say. Since the announcement of FF7 Revelation, we've been seeing FF7 Remake and Rebirth appear in sales rankings across platforms like Steam. How are they performing? Hamaguchi. They are doing extremely well. Even before Summer Games Fest 2026, both FF7 Remake and Rebirth had been selling steadily. Back when Rebirth was announced, every time it became a hot topic, sales of Remake would rise. Similarly, every time Revelation attracts attention, people will become more interested in Rebirth. Following Summer Games Fest 2026, we saw an enormous response in terms of sales. I can't share specific figures, but the sales are several times better than we had expected. And this is the part to highlight here. Sales are several times better than we had expected. So, as each part gets announced, more and more people are going back to Remake. And then as people go back to Remake, they then go to Rebirth. I think Switch 2 is a big reason why, as well as PC. Yeah. Well, we can definitely track PC, and we know that PC has been performing really, really well for the Retrilogy. And that's the other side of it, right? We don't know what these numbers are. And it does make it a little bit frustrating that he can't just tell us. It's selling good, trust me, bro. I can't tell you what they are, but just trust me, I swear, bro. Yeah. Yeah, that's like the other side of this, right? Where it feels like if it is selling good, how come you can't tell us the numbers? While this statement is nice, I think the only way to really shut people up is to just show the numbers. Stop the count. But yeah, just show people the numbers. Like, you know, because we could speculate here like all day. Oh, it's selling really well. But what does selling really well mean? I think when they do show the numbers, that is definitely going to allow people to shut up or not. But in either case, we'll be talking about something firm. I think that there's also a possibility that maybe they're waiting to hit a certain milestone before they want to discuss the numbers further, right? Maybe they want to hit 5 million or 6 million, and then that's the point where they'll discuss the numbers, but they're almost there, but they're not quite there. But they want to assure people that the numbers aren't bad. That would be my estimation for why he can't talk about the numbers yet, or my hope about why he can't talk about the numbers yet. But yes. Roy Mustang, who is Sebiwebs that chat keeps mentioning. He is another content creator who doesn't have the fondest opinions of the Retrilogy. Skeeth, thank you so much for the super. I'm sure that the game sold okay, but if Square can't name a specific milestone for the games, either on social media or investor reports, it makes me sort of skeptical. I think that's entirely fair. I think that's completely fair. Like they need to just say the numbers, right? Like I don't understand why this is like a back and forth thing, or why we have to keep, you know, discussing this. If they just say the numbers and we know the numbers, then I think the discourse would go away faster than them just baiting like, oh, it's really good. Trust us. You know, just show it then. Just show it. Ski, thank you for another super. When Nintendo cracks 1 million each quarter, they announce update with updated sales figures. Companies brag about big sales figures. Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing too. If the number is big, you really want to publish it. You really want to put it out there. This is why Capcom makes all of their sales public. Like they let you know exactly how much every Resident Evil game has sold ever. They are still updating Devil May Cry 5's sales, you know? Um, so I'm not, I want to be clear though, I'm not doubting Hamaguchi necessarily that it sold pretty good, right? I just want them to be explicit about it. I just want them to say, here's what it is. Because this statement alone doesn't really do anything. It just causes more internet discourse about how the game sold and just leaves us back in the same place. So I know that it's probably not in Hamaguchi's control directly. It's in the control of the people above him. But I wish they would just let him talk about it. That being said, thank you for this super chat. My theory is that Remake is just it's just too far away from Rebirth. Even if the numbers are good, the difference might scare the investors away. Yeah, I agree, man. I think that Remake is probably closing in on 10 million by now. If not over. If not over. And Rebirth is probably like half of that. I think Rebirth is at like 5 million. And so going from 10 million to 5 million probably doesn't look great to investors, but 5 million is probably it's fairly decent. It's not top of the franchise, but the 50% drop off would probably put them in a rough space. Alina Analytics put Rebirth at 2.4 million apparently before Switch 2 and Xbox ports. Right, which that is a good point, Panda, and I think that shows that like a 5 million estimate is probably on point. So probably somewhere between 5 to 5.5 million, right? Because if Alina Analytics number was 4.2 million and that was before Switch 2 launch, let's say did I say 2.4? My bad. I meant 4.2. My bad. So if Alina Analytics had it at 4.2 million, and then that's before Switch 2, and then Switch 2 launched, let's say that Switch 2 sold 800,000 at least units, maybe. Or at least it's sold 800,000 units since then due to Revelation's announcement and the Switch 2 port. Then yeah, like the estimate of Rebirth at 5 million sounds pretty good. If I had to make a guess on the lifetime sales of these games, I would say Remake maybe 11 million, Rebirth maybe 6 million, and then Revelation 3 or 4 million maybe. And then they'll say that the FF7 remake series has sold 20 million units combined, maybe. Right? Something like that. Again, that's just me pulling numbers out of my ass to kind of ballpark where I think things will be. But that sounds pretty reasonable to me. You guys in chat, let me know if that sounds reasonable to you. If they have a combined 15 million, then use that to create marketing momentum, right? Well, maybe. Maybe. Because if they have a combined 15 million, the counter argument then becomes OG sold 15 million, or 16 million. And it took 2 games for you to sell what OG did in 1. Granted, the OG sold that through re-releases and several years of time, and the original release sold 10 million, right? So people will say that, why didn't it surpass the OG? OG FF7 did not even reach 10 million until 2011. Let's be honest, did it? Because as far as I know, OG FF7 sold 10 million on PS1, and it was the second best-selling game on PS1, right behind the original Gran Turismo. But if you have uh, different data on that, let me know. But as far as I know, that was the numbers. The actual number for physical is about 9.8 million. Okay, that's negligible though. That's I mean that's still basically 10 million. That is close enough. There are not secretly millions of people waiting to buy all three 7R games at once. Like even Mass Effect Trilogy Collection only sells crazy big on big discounts. Yeah, I don't really know how many people are like actually waiting to buy all three when it's actually all out. We will actually see that when it does happen, but currently I don't know how sizable that audience is or isn't. And I haven't seen anything other than conjecture and anecdotes that suggest that it is. I'd probably say the number of waiters are probably less than a million. Yeah, plus or minus. But the idea that it's like maybe like 2 or 3 million people waiting for it to be finished, uh, that's probably not happening. I think some people may be overestimating how many people are waiting for a complete edition. I think a lot of people said that when part one came out, but in practice, I don't know if that's happening. I think a lot of people were waiting to buy all three until Sony went all digital. I do think that kind of fucked Square because I do think there were a lot of people who, let's just be honest, already bought the goddamn game, but they absolutely 1000% would have bought a Retrilogy collector set that had all three games, like limited edition print on the disc and stuff, and like a super nice like mega box, collector's box that it would have came in. I do think that there are people who would have bought that as a physical collector's item. And I think they got fucked over by Sony for that, because I actually do think maybe 500,000 to 1 million FF fans would have actually rebought the game for that. Kevin, thank you so much for the super. The problem isn't the FF brand entirely. It's that the JRPG fan base didn't embrace the PS5 and stuck with Switch. The PS5 showcase had no JRPGs compared to the Switch showcase, which had a lot. I do think that there is a huge need for them to be on all platforms, because I think that the JRPG audience, which used to be almost entirely on PlayStation, has now split into three different platforms, and that being PC, Switch, and PlayStation. And so you can't just hit like 90% of JRPG fans by releasing on PlayStation anymore, like you used to, right? Like PS2, PS3, definitely PS1. You could hit the entire JRPG audience just by releasing on those platforms. And now, you release a game on PlayStation 5 and You know, 1/3 of the JRPG audience is on Switch, 1/3 of the JRPG audience is on PC, and another third is on PlayStation, right? So you miss a lot of that audience by only releasing on one of those. Blitz says in the counter, the since digital is only since digital only is coming 2028, as Square does release a trilogy physical, they'll sell out. Add Magic the Gathering cards to that, it's a wrap. Apparently, according to Hamaguchi, I don't think it's in this interview, but another one, he says that there may not even be a physical version for Revelation, but he's going to try, which I find like pretty troubling of an idea that Revelation may or may not have a physical version, because I know a lot of people are going to be extraordinarily disappointed if they can't line up all the discs, right? Because I think all the old heads are going to want to show off all 6 Final Fantasy VII discs, right? Lined up. Skeet, thank you so much for the super chat. Counter argument: hardcore FF fans go where the games are. Anyone for whom that franchise name holds weight bought a PS5 for 16 in Rebirth. That's also true. That's also fairly true. I have bought every single PlayStation post the first and second one, really, because I mean that's when I kind of was getting introduced to Final Fantasy. But I bought every single PlayStation for this specific purpose of playing the latest Final Fantasy game above all else. So I bought my PS3 for Versus 13. And of course, I got 200 hours and platinumed it. It was an amazing game. If you guys have not played Versus 13, it's a truly underrated Final Fantasy title. I bought an Xbox 360 for 13. That's crazy. Because everyone was like upset it was coming to Xbox 360 at the time. Continuing onward, Hamaguchi says, I think fans and dedicated fan communities are very interested in how many copies the game has sold. But I can say they're performing even better than most people imagine. That means more and more people are playing previous entries, which gives me great confidence as we are prepared to release Final Fantasy VII Revelation to the world. I know there are requests for us to disclose the numbers, but that's something that falls under our investor relations policies. So I hope people understand. So yeah, unfortunately, Hamaguchi is not allowed to disclose the exact numbers. But guys, if they could, hopefully they would reflect such a statement. The way he's talking here almost like gives confidence that they're pushing closer to maybe even over 5 million. Who knows? Just trust me, we ain't cooked yet. That's basically all it comes down to. Hopefully, they will be able to release those numbers soon. That would be my hope. But it looks like not today. Are there any particular regions where the Final Fantasy VII Remake series has especially strong momentum? For starters, rather than a specific region, the numbers that show that PC gaming culture has become much, rather than a specific region, the numbers clearly show that PC gaming culture has become much stronger. Naturally, the English-speaking market remains very strong on PC, but the simplified Chinese PC market has also grown to a comparable level, and we're seeing that reflected in the sales of both FF7 Remake and Rebirth. Yeah, I told you guys, PC above all platforms, probably even above Switch 2. Low key. is where a lot of their momentum is going to come from. Now, yes, hold your horses. You're going to be like, NSP, aren't you just saying that because you're a PC guy? You're a little PC fanboy? You bottom for Gabe Newell? I don't bottom for Gabe Newell. But I like PC because there's different marketplaces. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that I do bottom for Gabe Newell. Okay. That's not why I'm saying it. Capcom, the majority of Capcom sales now come from PC. PC is a very strong market and is only continuing to grow. And that comes despite the tariffs, despite AI driving up prices, and all the other things that are happening in the market right now. Anecdotally, everyone I know that's played Remake or Rebirth recently has been on PC. Yeah. I mean, look how much talk that the shader injector mod is getting. And that's because a lot of people are playing the game on PC. Capcom's PC sales are ridiculous. I want to see if I can pull that up real quick. Here we go. %60.4% of Capcom sales are on PC. 39% are on consoles. By the way, you have to add PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch together. And you still don't get what they're selling on PC. So, yeah. Not having these games on PC day one has probably been their biggest L. More so than Switch 2, and that's not to say that they shouldn't have a Switch 2 port. Obviously, that's smart move. But clearly, PC is where it's at for these sales. PC is moving numbers. And something I have to keep telling people here in the West, especially, and this is what Hamaguchi mentions, people in the West are like, well, I play consoles, and all the people I know play consoles, so what are you talking about? Sure, in America, in the UK, but in a lot of other regions, they're like PC first. China being a great example of a PC first region. So those games sell there, and PC is really big. Because those regions didn't have consoles, right? Yeah. South Korea is also a place where PC is dominant. Consoles are not basically, globally dominant. They're kind of just, they're big in the West and Japan, I'd say, but most other regions are very PC oriented. So, and even then, PC is also very big even in Western countries. So, yeah. In Asia, consoles are only dominant in Japan, mainly Switch 2. PlayStation and Xbox are dead brands there at this point. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because, yeah, even in Japan, like, PlayStation is basically dead. And PC is also kind of starting to grow there and have its footing outside of just Switch 2. But, like, yeah, for the most part, like, it's PC. So, Jacob, what's up, man? PC is critical for the same reason that mobile has become so important and started seeing premium console quality titles in recent years. what we call emerging markets. Yeah, let's be real. 80% of PC players just hit the C's, brother. We literally have a post right here telling you that 60.4% of the sales were PC, and you're saying, let's just be honest, all those PC players just pirate. What the fuck are you saying? We literally, we are literally staring at the fact that most people on PC are in fact paying for games more than consoles, and you are saying that most people on PC pirate. What the fuck are you saying, bro? What the fuck are you saying? That does not make any sense. Yeah. I mean, Capcom definitely is able to have their sales elevated so high from their regularly discounted games. I don't deny that one bit. But that's still a legitimate purchase though, ultimately. All the games I pirate are old games I can't actually buy. Yeah, which are mostly console games, right? And not PC games. Do people even pirate modern games? Some people do, for sure. But I mean, I haven't even. I mean, not that I would now, obviously, but I haven't even thought about like not paying for a game in so long. Anything that can just be purchased, I pretty much do it because, like most people, I'd rather just pay for a game rather than pirate it. I think most people are like that. Overwhelming majority of people are like that. Most people don't want to, infect their PC with some incurable disease for the sake of uh, getting a video game. I mean, we used to do that 15, 20 years ago, but nowadays I feel like most people don't have much interest in doing that. Rix, thank you so much for the super chat. From what I hear, Square's new policy show no new milestones as of May 2024 or May 2025 from the new president, but I could be wrong though. Um, I don't know because they show new milestones for Nier all the time, and they show new milestones for like Team Asano stuff. So I'm not sure. They updated the Pixel remaster sales recently, but I bought most of these SNES games digitally 2 or 3 times, from including the Virtual Console from Wii and Wii U. I just used the SNES Classic Mini to play them. That's fair. But yeah, being on PC, obviously that's where they need to be. I think too that people have a bad frame on Capcom's sales, right? They look at it like, oh, Capcom gives these games away for so cheap. Their sales are so cheap. What people don't realize about Capcom's sales strategy is that they discount these games heavily so that they can get you into the ecosystem of Capcom games so that you will buy the next Capcom game at full price, and it fucking works. We've seen it with Resident Evil Requiem. They sell you all the Resident Evil games cheap because they know that's the best way to get you to buy the next Resident Evil game at $70. Right? Have I bought Capcom games dirt cheap? You fucking bet. Did I pay $70 fucking dollars for Resident Evil Requiem? Yes. I think that's what Square is trying to do with FF7R right now. 100% that's what they're trying to do with 7R. So yeah, they're discount the games really cheap. They hook you because their games are crack 100%. And they, like any good dealer, they sell you like they're going to sell you your first gram at a really cheap price. And guess what? You'll come back and you'll pay higher next time, right? So, uh it's a great strategy and it works. And they're not going to stop doing it. I got Resident Evil 2 remake as my first RE for $20, and I've been a fan ever since. Right. You got RE2R at $20, and now you pay $70 for every Resident Evil game that comes out. The day it comes out. Because you love Resident Evil. It's such a good strategy. It works. And that's what they should be doing. So I think people will be like, all right, I want to, they got the 12 million, but at what cost? They were selling the game for $5. Yeah. But guess what? Those people are now going to buy Devil May Cry 6 and Resident Evil Veronica at $70. And each time they run those sales and each time more people get into their ecosystem, it's just more and more people that are going to buy those games full fucking price. Anyways, continuing the interview, Hamaguchi says, or he was asked, how do sales affect the development process? As creators, our biggest motivation comes from seeing so many people play what we built and watching our content become a global topic of conversation. So generating buzz is also important for you. Hamaguchi, that's right. Of course, if all the attention were negative, that would be a problem. But I think the fact that there were so many comments in general helps motivate everyone. After announcing FF7 Revelation, we received an incredible amount of feedback from players. Throughout the FF7 Remake series, both I personally and the team have felt tremendous support and encouragement from our fans, especially when considering we've been developing the project over a whole decade. We really feel like we've been supported the entire time. I see, the voices of players are what keep you going. Yes, it truly is. While a typical AAA game tends to take 3 or 4 years to make, we spent more than 10 years creating 3 games: FF7 Remake, FF7 Rebirth, and FF7 Revelation. From a personal standpoint, dedicating more than a decade of your creative career to a single project is a major decision. 10 years. That's a huge portion of a creator's career. That's why gaining a sense of fulfillment from the work we do is the most important factor. Knowing that people around the world are excited about what we've created is the greatest motivation we could ask for. Of course, Final Fantasy VII is an incredibly powerful IP itself, but more than anything, I feel it was the players. I feel it was the player support that gave us a sense of purpose. Thanks to that, over 90% of the staff who worked on Final Fantasy VII Remake stayed with us all the way through to Revelation. That's actually surprised a lot of people overseas, which was an unexpected reaction for us. Well, yeah, because especially here in the West, as soon as a team is done, they immediately start shuffling employees around. But also, this happens in Japan. Honestly, it kind of happens worldwide a lot of times, and it's usually kind of an unfortunate thing when it happens in these big corporations because those teams really don't get to build on their work in quite the same way. And it just becomes really apparent when different people are handling a franchise. The feel of the games change, the type of storytelling that the games have changed, and it's where a lot of long running series can become divisive. A brilliant strategy for companies: sell all your old games for cheap on a bundle on PC, including the not great ones, and then when your new games, market them that highlights the best of the series while subtly referencing the worst games in a way that shows improvement. Yeah. I read that I read the Bloomberg piece about that. Despite being a AAA project, each installment was developed relatively quickly because more than 90% of the staff carried over from the previous game. Hamaguchi, that's right. People were really surprised about that, so it generated quite a response. It did. I saw many people agree with the idea of keeping the same team together instead of disbanding between projects as a factor in shortening development time. Yes, because just having to put that team back together or put a team back together to create a sequel to a game is going to take so long, finding the right people, figuring things out. Just keeping that team together, you can skip through all of that. So Hamaguchi says that's right. People were really surprised by that. It generated quite a response. Oh, wait, I read that out of order. He said that, and then he said the thing we just read, and then Hamaguchi replies, I think the fact that so many people are working on the project with a firm commitment to see it through to the very end is certainly due to the strength of the FF7 IP. But also, we were able to create this project surrounded by fans who have tremendously high expectations for it. Of course, those expectations are built upon the results of what we delivered so far. If FF7 Remake and FF7 Rebirth hadn't lived up to player expectations, then FF7 Revelation probably wouldn't be generating this level of anticipation either. Because we've been able to meet player expectations, they've continued to look forward to what's next. In turn, the development team is motivated to live up to those new expectations, creating a positive synergy that has kept everyone's motivation high. It feels like we've created a virtuous cycle. I hope this team gets a 3-month paid vacation, then starts Final Fantasy XVII. Me too, right? They've been working really hard. Sorry if you guys hear my AC, I just turned it on. But they've been working really hard on this for 10 goddamn years. But I do want to see them stay together. I do want to see them become Final Fantasy's A team, right? And I want to see them be able to deliver Final Fantasy XVII relatively quickly. That is my hope. Now, of course, they also need a B team, as every major franchise honestly does. The kind of issue right now is that there doesn't really exist a B team. I know some of you will say, well, what about the team behind Final Fantasy XVI? If you haven't caught up with the news, this honestly slipped by me even, because I thought that FF16's team is probably working on something new. And then I was doing some research for a video, and I found out that the FF16 team basically disbanded after the Leviathan DLC. And even leading up to the Leviathan DLC, they had basically already disbanded most of the team and were just a skeleton crew to finish off that DLC. So, as things currently sit, at least as far as we know, there is no B team for Final Fantasy. The A team is literally just Creative Studio 1, and that's it right now. That's not to say that they may not be forming another team within Creative Studio 3. That's entirely possible. Forming another team within Creative Studio 3. But as far as we know right now, it's literally just Creative Studio 1 working on offline FF. So, It's kind of crazy, yeah. Wonder where the 16 team went? Oh, to other projects, basically. And that's what happens when they get disbanded. So they go to and 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 it's basically like all of them go to different projects too. So they don't even go together. They get dissolved into other. So some of them probably went to Dragon Quest 12. Some of them might even be helping with Revelation. Some might be working on Kingdom Hearts 4. Some might be working on Final Fantasy 14, actually, which is probably what's happening more than anything else. They probably dissolved back to help on Evercold, I'd say, more than anything else. The thing I would be most curious about is Ryota Suzuki's project. Like, what are they doing with him? Because he is some of the most prestigious talent in video games. So I can't imagine that they just are letting him sit by idle. Because he's the biggest question mark for me. Everyone else, I can kind of be like, okay, yeah, they're working on all these other things, but like, not letting Ryota Suzuki do something seems kind of crazy, bro. Is it even possible to keep systemic continuity even if people new jump into 17? For example, the base combat system becomes the mandate, but the new team can come up with a whole system to replace materia and other progression system. That is like what I would like to happen. Will that happen? I mean, it's Square Enix, brother. They're going to throw out everything and come up with something brand new that half of fans hate and half of fans think is the best underrated game ever. And you are wrong for not liking it. In fact, it is a moral failing for you to not like it. And everything will continue. Ryota Suzuki for Nier 3. I fucking hope. That would be great, actually. I want Final Fantasy X combat back. It's actually really funny because every time I pull this, and I pulled it many times, at least in our community, Final Fantasy X combat is more desired to return than any other combat system. More than 7Rs, more than traditional ATB. Everyone says they want FF10 combat back. It's actually very funny. I think it's kind of crazy that they ditched FF10's combat system after one game because every single person that I know is like, yeah, that's like one of the best, if not the best, like system in the series, and like everyone wants it to come back and they won't bring it back. And also, it's such a great system that for it to only be used in one game is just like utterly tragic. Jacob saying, I feel like they need to start with small with some non Creative Studio 1 teams. They said they might make a new tactics if Evil East Chronicles sells well. That could be decent and not super costly, I bet. Yeah, a new tactics game would be a great idea. I do hope that Creative Studio 3 is working on that. We could even do what Yakuza did and split the series into 7R combat and 10 combat. So, I mean, here is also an idea, right? One thing that they could do is do what you mentioned and basically have it so that the A team, like Creative Studio 1, ends up working on more games in the 7R combat style. And so 17 would basically be like 7R's combat. And then the B team would make a turn-based game. And so 18 would be turn-based and it'd have like Final Fantasy X style combat. And every other entry they would basically go back and forth between turn-based and action, and that would be great. Would love to see tactics reach the same level of scale as Fire Emblem. Me too. And honestly, no reason for it to not. I think that would also be great. But I also think that that sounds like a pipe dream, and I don't think we're ever gonna get that shit. I think we're cooked on that front. I think we're just gonna get like more of a different type of action game that nobody asked for them to make, and it'll be controversial again, and half of people will love it, and half of people will be insulting me in new creative ways when I say that it's not a good idea. Genuinely, it's a shame that Square Enix didn't reuse slash recycle their older combat systems and improve upon them. I know. Well, they don't have to do necessarily Evilise for a new tactics game. They could do an original setting. They could use Valistia. They could do anything, really, in terms of making a new tactics game. So, let's continue reading the interview. Where the fuck were we? I think we finished the question. So the next question was, I certainly hope Final Fantasy VII lives up to its expectations as well. Finally, I'd like to ask something a little different. With Sony Interactive's recent announcement regarding diskless console gaming, there is a possibility that physical releases could eventually disappear. What's your personal opinion on that? And can you tell us whether Final Fantasy VII Revelation will receive a physical edition? Hamaguchi. Personally, I'm in favor of physical edition. Nothing makes me happier than those moments at the community events when fans bring their games for me to sign. I'd be a little sad if the culture of keeping games physically and sharing those memories gradually fades away. That said, looking at the industry as a whole, I do think digital sales will continue to grow, driven by changes in convenience and distribution. Rather than physical editions disappearing altogether, though, I think that format itself might change, whether that's Nintendo Game Key Card System or boxes that simply provide download codes. Traditional releases where everything is contained entirely on the physical disc or cartridge may gradually become less common. As for Final Fantasy VII Revelation, I'm aware that with Sony Interactive Entertainment's announcement, some fans may become concerned that the game might end up being a digital-only release. While this is all I'm able to share at the time, given the strategy of FF7 Revelation's development, a complete change in direction would be difficult for us. Therefore, we are actively exploring the possibility of releasing a physical retail version. That said, every platform has its own regulations, whether that's support of game key cards or media capacity limitations. Right now, we're internally discussing how to best preserve the game's quality while also meeting fans' expectations. This is kind of crazy. Because, in other words, Revelation is not guaranteed to have a physical version. I think that, from what he's saying here, they kind of want there to be. And Square doesn't know what that would do to their sales and how it would impact them. So I'm pretty confident that they want physical versions. I assume it'll get one. Dude, it's right at the cutoff line for sure. Well, not right at the cutoff line, but it's... I imagine that disc production is already slowing down, basically. Like, I imagine that they are already kind of closing up shop and all of the mechanisms are in place to swap over to digital. So, I don't know if they will be able to, just because, it's not like all the facilities are going to be operating at 100% capacity until 2028. I imagine that they're slowly shutting those facilities down in the background, right? We would think. Sony did commit to reprints though, yeah. Because God of War is getting one, yeah. So at least until God of War, we're good. Jacob says, I'm gonna keep it real. Their margins on a 6 disc collector's edition with a stupid action figure and an art book would probably be too good to pass up. Yeah. Yeah. 6 discs, and you can put like shirtless and Cloud and Sephiroth in there with like a bottle of oil, and uh it'll sell incredibly well. It's like how the publishing industry has started emphasizing special edition re-releases of popular books to get extra cash out of diehards, compensating for the Kindle dominating the market so much. Yeah, I'm under the assumption that Revelation will come on a disc. It's hard for me to imagine it not, but it is crazy to see Hamaguchi say that it's not necessarily guaranteed at the moment. I guarantee it'll be game key card for Switch 2 because it's too big for a physical cartridge. So they are already going that route. Someone in SE is probably thinking bite the bullet, but purely digital on the other platform saves a dual disc, like with Rebirth on PS. Yeah. Which also makes you think too, because Square has to pay more for manufacturing of the Retrilogy because they have to do 2 discs, right? And I don't know how much it costs to prepare each disc, but I imagine that money adds up to something. If anyone knows like an actual figure for that, you can share it in chat. But I imagine it does cost something. Alana Pierce had a great video about the topic. The too long didn't watch is that the disc-based sales are inevitably declining, and in a already mature market, so an industry desperate for growth, they're throwing it away to repurpose those facilities to make AI components. Massive industry growth. Sony will never reverse this decision. Goddamn, it all makes sense now. It always goes back to AI, bros. Damn. That does make sense. Oh man. I don't know. That kind of sounds like the opposite of the bubble popping. They're shutting down physical games to make more room for AI. That sounds like the bubble getting bigger, if anything. Unless I'm missing something. Hey, apocalypse aside, shareholders gotta buy their 5th yacht. Yep. Yeah, physical games for people not on good internet is really important. And I don't really even just mean here in the West. I mean like in a lot of other countries where the internet infrastructure is just not as good as it is here. And so those regions rely on physical games in order to be able to play games in the first place. So I'm sure Hamaguchi is only saying exploring the possibility because Square is so willing to explore new avenues and reinvent their distribution plans that they're considering cutting physical. Okay, so here is an alternative look at this, right? It could be, and I'm not saying that they're doing this, but it's just maybe, right? Like, one way that you could boost the profitability of this series immediately is if you made all, let's just say 3 to 5 million people who are going to buy Revelation, if you made them all buy digital, you could really boost the sales. I mean, not boost the sales, you could really boost the margins on each sale by quite a bit. versus selling a box with 2 discs in it, which is probably more expensive to manufacture. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that, oh, Square would do that on purpose or anything like that, but necessarily. But I am saying that maybe that is something that they would decide to do, since it would make quite a bit of money. It's not an option, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But I would assume that, like, if they can't make a physical edition happen, that's not the reason why, and it has more to do with Sony. But the long-term fallout, well, I mean, there is no long-term fallout. Just blame it on Sony, bro. Just be like, yeah, unfortunately, due to Sony and the evil guys at Sony who want to take your game disc and make AI instead of game disc, those bad guys, those evil guys, they're the ones that made it so you can't get Revelation physical. Not us, though. We would never do that. So, I mean, you can't do that, right? Don't worry. Media will go 100% digital only. Then all IPS companies will conspire to put, or IP companies, internet service, ISP companies, will conspire to put hard data caps per month and charge extra for gigs. Oh, you want to download 200 gigabyte Call of Duty? Pay $80 for the game. $10 for the extra gigs. Yeah. I don't think Revelation selling 4 million at launch would be out of the realm of possibility. I don't know. I don't have like a set number that I would anticipate Revelation to sell at launch. And part of that is because I don't have Rebirth fucking numbers. And I would need those to kind of estimate. And we don't know how much Rebirth sold at launch. So it's kind of hard to say anything about what Revelations sales will be. Square was very scummy with Switch 2 versions of the game without any upgrade path for people who bought Switch 1 version. Wait, what are we talking about? Like Final Fantasy X Switch 2 version? Or if there's a physical disc, I'll buy it at launch. If there's no disc, I'll boycott for a week. Most honest gamer. Okay, there's one other interview that we can go through real quick. Final Fantasy VII Revelation director Naoki Hamaguchi on continuity and fan expectations. Let's see what he has to say. I think this was at FanFest, if I'm not mistaken. The most recent one in Berlin. Yep. Express Online says, welcome to Berlin. I want to ask you loads of questions about that revelation, but obviously you're here to announce the collaboration between 7 and 14. What was your initial reaction when Yoshida approached you for that collaboration? Hamaguchi, the starting point was when we were having conversations internally about the release dates of both Evercold and Revelation, and the release windows are quite close together. So the idea was that instead of just keeping them separate, why don't we do something together to really energize the Final Fantasy franchise as a whole? And I think, both teams are now really on board with that, really passionate about this. So I think it's something that the Warriors of Light, Final Fantasy XIV players, are really going to look forward to and enjoy. Express asking, I imagine the development pipeline for a live service game like 14 is a lot different to what you're used to on the remake trilogy. What's it been like to have a taste of that side development for FF14? Or a taste of that side of development for FF14? Yeah, I mean, the development cycle is just completely different. And so it was very noticeable that obviously the way they work with their schedule is very different. You have the story set in stone by this date, and you have to have the assets available by this date, etc., 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 etc. For us, if we're making a boss, we can say, I think it'd be interesting if we can do this. And that's fine. We can just make a unique mechanic that allows us to do that. We have that flexibility. But when you're making an MMO, Having exceptions for lots of different things can be really tricky to manage. So it's more about trying to use established formats to come up with new and interesting ideas and working within those parameters. So that was something we had to be mindful of when we were working on this collaboration. Having said that though, both teams are extremely passionate, extremely motivated, and coming up with lots and lots of ideas. So I do think we are creating quite a lot of work for our development team. Obviously, you're towards the end of development of Revelation right now, but was there anything you learned from 14 or ideas that you thought maybe you could take and put that into Revelation? The essential development work on Revelation had pretty much been all set in stone before this collaboration was decided. So there wasn't anything directly that this collaboration gave us to take back and put into the remake series. But as we were talking about earlier, it was really interesting to have this opportunity to work with a live game, an MMO, and look at the development cycle. It was really fresh and new for us. I think that there is a lot we can learn from that. Turning the remake trilogy, these games have been in develop. Turning to the remake trilogy, these games have been in development for over a decade now since the first official reveal back in 2015. When you were first starting development on Remake, were you already thinking about the sort of gameplay mechanics that would appear in Revelation, or is that something that evolved over time as you got to create these games? When I joined the FF7 Remake team, it was when there had been quite a big shift in terms of the internal team to allow the development to proceed more smoothly. I believe this is actually when they shifted development from shifted development from CyberConnect 2 back to Creative Studio 1 internally. And that is when Hamaguchi joined on. At the same time, the most important thing for me to do was just essentially plan and define what it was that we wanted to do, because then the next step would be to really get into development and start producing all of that. I didn't think I had the capacity to think about Rebirth or Revelation or where it was all going or what the end was going to be. The first, because everything was fucking melting down, bro, and with CyberConnect 2 at that time. The first thing and most important thing for me was to define the Final Fantasy VII Remake that fans would want. So yeah, I didn't think much beyond that. As we approached the end of Remake's development, so about half a year or a year before then, I did start to think about Rebirth. We had a few ideas about what we wanted at that point in time, like a world map you could explore freely. Around the time that Remake launched, Nojima-san actually provided an outline of the plot. So for Rebirth, we had ideas of what we wanted in terms of game design and plot around the time Remake was launching. We did, of course, have DLC in between, but that all went quite smoothly and we were able to transition into the second game quite well. Final Fantasy VII is a game that is beloved by so many. I personally know quite a lot of people that have been waiting for Revelation to come out, and then to play all 3 games in one big go. Have you thought about what the experience is going to be like for people who play Remake, Rebirth, and Revelation back to back? Yeah, we do think about that. So for example, if Remake, Rebirth, and Revelation were all the exact same gameplay experience, I think players would get a bit tired of that. So one of my goals for the gameplay experience between Remake, Rebirth, and Revelations to change and evolve. One of the things that I really wanted to have as part of the gameplay experience is for the player's perspective to get higher and higher. So for example, in Remake, you had this really tight story-driven experience in Midgar. And one of our goals for Rebirth was to allow players to experience the sense of scale that Final Fantasy VII has by having this world map, which is really, really expansive on a 2D plane. So with Revelation, instead of that 2D exploration, you also have the addition of height with the ability to explore with the Highwind, to jump out in parachutes, and even to fly on your chocobo. This is an extra dimension that we've added to exploration of the world map to make sure that it doesn't feel the same and is delivering that new, fresh gameplay experience. That leads to my next question, I guess. The last third of Final Fantasy VII sees players return to some of the same locations we saw in Rebirth. What sort of design changes did you consider for these locations to make them still feel fresh in Revelation? So first, this connects back to what I was saying. If you take the grasslands as an example, they were big, expansive, but relatively flat. That was one of the explorations that you had in the previous game, the previous time you visit there. In Revelation, when you have the chocobo that allows you to fly, go to new places and really have a different sense of the area. Zephyr Tempest, thank you for the super chat. Are they doing anything? The lighting and brightness. Oh, you mean like to change like the lighting system in Revelation? They are. They have a brand new lighting system. You can see it in the trailers too. It looks much better. It looks a little bit closer to what the shader injector mod has going on. It's not quite there, but my greatest hope is that they will at least patch that into Revelation into the previous two games for console users so that they can also have better lighting. Continuing onward, Hamaguchi says, but of course, exploring exactly the same place is a little boring. At quite an early point in the story of Revelation, the black materia takes effect and meteor appears in the sky, and this causes the ground and the earth to change. So there will be changes to the terrain in some of these previous places. Of course, there will be similar quests that you can undertake as a mercenary. As in previous games, people are obviously a little bit uneasy with the weapons. With the meteor in this, a little bit uneasy with the weapons with the meteor in the sky. So there'll be lots of things and quests that you can do to help them and resolve those issues. So I think there's 3 points there. The terrain will be different, there'll be new ways of exploring the area, and there'll be a lot of new content. Hopefully, I think that it should give a completely different feel to what you were able to explore in Rebirth. I wanted to ask about fan reactions. How closely do you follow the reception of each release? Is there any community feedback that you sought to implement in Revelation? I mean, I'm kind of busy with development, so I don't sit there on social media or Reddit all day. Why are you lying, bro? Yes, you do. Anyways, but I do know, but I do want to know that people think, I do want to know what people think of the works that I've created. So I do check it regularly, and I have 2 ways that I think about it. One of those, for example, is expectations of what people are looking forward to, and I know that for this time, that's going to be the ending. The conclusion of the storyline in the world. That is a fodder for a lot of discussion. But this goes for RPGs, for books, for films. I think story-driven media isn't the kind of thing that you do by committee. You don't put it out there and see the fan opinions and change and tweak things. It's about that creative driving force behind the initial storyline. So although I do look at what people are saying about things, particularly when it comes to storyline, I don't make changes based on, oh, this character seems really popular, I have to treat them better, or I have to give them more focus. I don't do that. Which is good. Very good. I don't think anyone wants a writer that does that. But I think it's the complete opposite in terms of gameplay and how approachable people find it in terms of how you want people to play and your overall vision. That is the same, I think, as a creative decision. When it comes to how people are able to engage with that, whether they find it hard to approach, what the user experience is like, I think that's something that you can improve on by listening to fans and to players. When I have those conversations, I'm always thinking about how I can balance things better or how I can evolve things further. They need to release a demo where we can play through a scripted section of full slow walking NPCs and harsh lighting changes with multiple Mako vacuum sections. Oh no, yeah, Rebirth demo was not the greatest. This is great news. It means they haven't changed their plans to make Chatley key to the in-game story. I know, and he's definitely going to be like really important too. So I hope people are prepared for that. Yeah, the Junon section I think did a lot better for FF7 Rebirth than the actual story, like normal like opening chapter segment. Um oh yeah. For example, I have seen that there were a lot of comments on mini games after Rebirth came out. I didn't think it was necessary that the answer was just to have fewer mini games in Revelation. The question is how we can make them more engaging, more fun, and less frustrating. He kind of said all this in the other interview. I think one of the things is that particularly balanced out the Rebirth, the mini games. Some of the words actually helped in combat. Yeah, we've been over that one. Could you spend well over 100 hours playing you could spend well over 100 hours playing Rebirth if you wanted to do absolutely everything it had to see. Is playtime something that you think about when developing these games? We do keep playtime in mind when we're working on development, but personally, I don't think it's what we should be focusing on above all. When it comes to an open world game, I think it's about the level of freedom that you have and the choices that you can make. You could break it down and say, well, the main story takes 40 hours and the side content takes 60 hours. I think that players have a choice of whether they engage with that extra 60 hours of content or not. That's the way I look at things too. And then I learned from this game specifically that other people do not look at it that way. Other people look at it like the platinum is completion and everything else is not completion, and um, you have to play it for the platinum, otherwise, uh, you know, you can't just skip content you don't like. Um, I think for games these days, it's really important to think about what players are choosing to do. When you think about how many players have purchased a game, how many of those are going for 100 plus hours and getting a full completion rate? The answer is it's actually probably very few of them. Yeah, I mean, statistically, right? The number of people who get a platinum is pretty low, right? So, um, sales aren't always a reliable indicator of quality. Yeah. I don't know what that discussion is. But like, let me see. Can we find like the trophy completion rate for Rebirth? I don't understand how this works. It says 13.5%, and then I highlight it, and then it says 2.5% ultra rare. I'm confused how that works. Is it 2.5% or is it 13? On Steam, it's 2.2% of all people who have all achievements. Yeah. Most people do not platinum games whatsoever. Um, Most people can't even finish a game. Yeah. I think if people looked at the completion rates for video games, I think that they would probably see uh that completion rates aren't great. PSN profiles is biased because you have to integrate your account. Okay. Um but I think if you go look at the actual Sony information, it's not crazy. Like the number of people who platinum a game is still pretty low. Like, is there any way to look and see how many people platinum the average game? If anyone has those numbers, let me know. Anyways, so one thing that we're really careful of with Revelation as compared to Rebirth, say in Rebirth, you had a 40% main story, 60% side content. We were careful to say it's up to you whether you want to engage with this. As I mentioned earlier, because we have those battle related rewards in there, and also because there were certain trophies tied to completing everything like that, even though we were telling people that they could choose whether to engage with it or not, people feel like they had to do everything before moving on in Rebirth. Yep. And that is the determinant for a lot of people on whether they will enjoy Rebirth or not is how much pressure they feel to do literally every single thing before moving on. And I think if you're a completionist, that game probably will not be a desirable experience for you. The requirements for Rebirth Flat are just stupid. It requires 2 full playthrough, once on normal, once on hard, doing literally everything both times, every side quest and every mini game. If the requirement for a plat is multiple playthroughs, at least make the second run different and not just enemies take longer to kill this time. I mean, yeah. But that's also why I would never get the platinum for this game. And I just don't get platinums in general. I just don't platinum games because why would I ruin myself enjoying a game? That's what I always say with platinums. I was like, why would I ruin myself and ruin my enjoyment of this game by platinuming it? I just don't think platinuming games is fun. I'm sorry. I know that's offensive to some. But really ask yourself when you're platinuming like most games, are you actually having fun every moment that you're doing that? Is it really the most optimal way to enjoy most of the games that you're playing? Or, you know, definitely depends on the game, right? But I would bet that like even like in like some of your favoriteest games ever, I'm willing to bet that there's still a lot of content that you're just like, I fucking don't want to do this. At least that's my experience. My main issue with Rebirth is that the main game didn't communicate at all whether some content might have a point of no return or not. I feel like people got pressured into doing it all due to them not knowing. Yeah, that's another thing too. And Remake is to blame for that 100%. I don't mind doing everything in a playthrough, but platinuming games has some stupid requirements. I'm with you, NSP. On that shit. Yeah. Yeah. 100%, bro. I'm just like, dude, fuck this. Like, why am I gonna not have fun so I can get the platinum? That's like for me, like I'm just like, this is just not worth it. I don't have infinite time to play video games, so when I do play video games, I kind of want to turn it on and I want for it to hit, if that makes sense. You know, I want it to hit and like Yeah, where you're dodging 200 lightning bolts or whatever equivalents for whatever game that you're playing, it's like this is not hitting. This is doing the opposite of hitting. This is making me want to smash the fucking controller and just move the fuck on. Yeah, not every game like to platinum is like a huge chore, right? Like, don't get me wrong. There are some games that are pretty easy platinums, and that you can mostly do it while just having fun and engaging with the game. But like, for a lot of games, no. You you never platinum or 100% in FF10? No, and I never fucking will. If I platinum FF10, I will not share the same loving perspective I share on Final Fantasy X now. I'll probably fucking hate the game. In fact, I think like the platinums for most of the classic FF games are so fucking ridiculous that I do not want to platinum any of them because I will definitely fucking hate them. Like the fucking jump rope trophy in FF9, like what the fuck were they thinking with that? Like what the fuck? Are you serious? Like that's just ridiculous, dude. I'm not gonna do that for a fucking trophy. Like, I'm sorry. That's just yeah. I'll admit when I'm 100% in FF10, it made me like it less. It was just nonstop grinding for too many hours, even when speed up enabled. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. A lot of times, platinuming a game makes you just walk away with like sometimes a worse impression of it than if you just choose to not do some of the content that the game has. Like this is again, this is where I agree with Nintendo actually, where I don't think that trophies or achievements are like a necessary thing. And that's no disrespect to completionists who love getting them. I think it's great that you do, but I want people uh to not view it as a requirement to enjoying a game and to completing it. Because I don't think it should be. I've only 100% at Final Fantasy X, and I'll never do it again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Trophies are cool. Like when it pops up, and I just completed a chapter or something, or I did something cool, and I find out that like that's like trophy worthy because I did something cool, and like that's when trophy hits the hardest for me. But I'm not like I'm not like I have to 100% this. To plat rechain of memories, you have to get both Sora and Riku to level 99. Are you fucking serious? I would never do that. And to do that for Riku, you have to grind 4 encounter variants in 2 rooms. Bro, Jacob, like that's like literally what I'm talking about when I say that like for a lot of video games, platinuming them is just intruding is like choosing to enjoy those games less. That's exactly what I mean. That is exactly what I mean. And that's like a real world example without me having to be hyperbolic about like some of the things that some games make you do for trophies. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. If a trophy can lead you to do something fun that you would normally do, it can be cool. But trophies are require pure repetition, ain't it? Right. But see, like the way they used to do that in video games was giving you a cool item. Right? It used to be how you'd get like an Ultima weapon or something, you know, like a really interesting or like a cool accessory or something that's broken in game shit. But like but like um for like social proof, that I did everything in a video game, I, maybe it's just me, bro, but I'm like, I'd rather I legitimately rather do anything else than like some of the stuff that you have to do to platinum. That you have to do to platinum certain games. I'm just like, dude, like I could be playing other games. I could be studying Japanese right now. I could be doing like anything. Like what the fuck? I know that's why I bring that up. You could not pay me to do that. You could pay me to do it. If you guys donate enough, I'll do it. But I would not do that for free and not for a trophy. But that's kind of the point, though, is that if I wouldn't do it for a trophy, then it's not worth it. I'm trying to 100% God of War 2018. It's fucking insane. I'm doing on Give Me God of War, which makes every fight a boss fight. Yeah. I actually think Give Me God of War is harder than like a lot of Souls games. I might be tripping on that. It's been a while since I played God of War, but I also like when I play on Give Me God of War, it's like I'm like Souls is easier than this, bro. Give Me God of War is fucking hard. Phantom Blade Zero we're platinuming though, right? I mean, yeah, I'm gonna play the shit out of that game. Yeah, I think the best platinums are just games are just like basically ones that encourage you to use the systems and to max them all out in an easy way, not necessarily get to like level 99, but just like nah, give me God of War is stupid hard. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, give me God of War is like stupid. So do you have any platinums? No, and I never will get one. I do not care about platinums. I straight up 100% don't care about it. I do not 100% anything ever. I think that like I think that it's just like I'm done, man. Like once I do all the content I want to do, I've done all the side quests I want to do, I move on. I wish I never started platinum. Like I'm just like, bro. So are you more optimistic about 7R NSP? Maybe cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic is where I've been at for 7R. I don't think the gameplay has ever missed even once. You know, the whole trilogy, well, it's only been 2 games so far. Maybe Revelation will, but it's extraordinarily doubtful that it would. Um, in terms of gameplay, they're the finest FF experiences that you can get, right? I'd put them, the gameplay experiences of 7R games with next to the very best FF games ever made, if not even above them, honestly. They are the best. That being said, the kind of part about the 7R games that has been really, oh, I don't know about this, overwhelmingly has been the story aspect of it, particularly the meta narrative stuff, right? Because when you get into the characters and their interactions and going through the world of Final Fantasy VII and how that's supposed to feel, I think that they actually nailed most of that. There's some stuff that I would change kind of here and there, but 90% of it is right and feels overwhelmingly good. And I think that if like teenage me saw Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, that his brain would literally fucking explode. I think he would actually die if he saw Remake and Rebirth. I also think he'd be more into the meta story maybe than, well, I don't know. He might hate it more. I don't know actually. I might be more open to it now than I would be as a teenager. It's hard to say. I put 7R gameplay among the best gameplay in gaming. Period. It's some of the other problems that keep it held back from breaking through, though. Yeah, I agree. Like I would say that 7R has the best battle system in RPGs. Like you tasked me to think about a battle system better in RPGs. Uh, Kingdom Hearts 2. That'd be pretty close. That'd be right in the same tier. But yeah, like if you want me to come up with other RPGs I think that play just as good as 7R, there's just not many. There's just not many that offer what it offers. It really does fulfill Sakaguchi's idea of Final Fantasy, which is the game of everything. Like when I play 7R, I think, damn, that is the fucking game. Like the combat of 7R is the game with everything. Like that is the combat system with everything. It is fully stacked in every single conceivable way. So, uh, I do actually think that is probably one of the best battle systems in video games, period. I'll never forget our combos while you were playing the game for review. The absolute love of the gameplay pouring out of you. But the other things, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I was gushing to subtext and other people who were playing the FF7 Rebirth for review, and we were all like, dude, this is one of the best video games like ever made. Holy shit, this game is so awesome. And then I get to a cutscene and I'd be like, this game is fucking stupid. And then I'd get back to like another great fight and I'd be like, yeah, this is the best game ever made. When the cutscenes don't undermine the video game part. It's the best game. Um, Rebirth might be my favorite overall FF gaming experience. I would say that it's probably mine too, even though I would still say FF10 is better. And I would still say OG7 is a better FF game. I know that's like weird to reconcile. But yeah, I would say that, but like as an experience, the first time I played Rebirth, I think it was just really really cool. I'm right where you are right now. I love so much of the game, but I really really don't like the story. Yeah. And this is kind of like the hardest part for me too because I was like I think if it was just a little bit closer to just basically telling FF7's story, or if the meta narrative elements weren't the way they were, I'd probably think this was the best video game ever. And I don't say that to undermine the game. I say that actually to elevate it and to show you just how good it is. Um, but yeah, I think you guys just like to complain. You didn't like remake either. I just got through saying how it was the best FF experience ever and that it has the best gameplay experience in like video games. I says the best combat system in RPGs, period. Jason, can you fucking hear? Go to the fucking doctor. Please. I literally just got through circle jerking the game. And now you are telling me because I don't like the meta narrative elements that I just like to complain. What are you saying, Jason? What are you saying? Anyways, and I don't obviously I don't hate everything about the story. Actually, it's really just certain points in the meta narrative plot that make me like not like it as much. But I don't think that like the whole story is bad. There are just certain parts of that meta narrative that are like, what are we doing here? Like, this is not. But even then, I would still recommend everyone who likes OG to still play the Retrilogy, ultimately. Because I think the full realization of the characters kind of actually makes me go back to OG with like a little bit more appreciation. And also, too, I really genuinely don't know where this story is going. Apparently, every time I look at Twitter, every other person who has a completely different take about where the story is going knows where the story is going for sure. And yeah. See, I would disagree that they're just retelling the story and adding details that they left out of OG. Because I don't think that, like, for example, if you go back to Remake, the characters have foresight of things that have already happened. I don't think that foresight of things that already happened was like a detail that they just left out of OG. But also, too, I don't think that that's like a necessary like thing to justify liking it, like justify liking the meta narrative elements. I think a better explanation or a better way of justification for why those elements are good is that you just say that they do elevate the story, that they are like an important part. And I actually do get those arguments. I think that they're fair. And I'm not even sure if I disagree with those arguments because Revelation's not out and we don't have the story in full. And there's a genuine possibility that I roll credits on this and then I end up feeling that 7R has a better story than the OG. Like, that is still not out of the realm of possibility for me. Because I just don't know where the fuck it's going. I'm just basing it on, like, the original and where things are at right now. But when I have the complete picture, that's subject to change. So, I'm not closed-minded on it. I'm not saying that the meta-narrative elements are shit or garbage and that this is all, like, worthless. But as things currently stand, they're not my favorite element of Retrilogy. And they have kind of been so far. But that doesn't mean that it's, you know, like I said, it doesn't stop it from being one of my favorite game experiences thus far. And like I said, I'd put it in my S tier for FF game experiences overall. Yeah. I need to know what the meta narrative actually is before I can like really even say like what this actually is, right? There is no way in hell that killing Barrett and then having the Fate Ghost reverse that death is just something we couldn't depict in the OG technical limitations. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. That's still my least favorite scene in the whole trilogy, by the way. Like 1000%. That's still my least favorite scene. Is killing and then unkilling Barrett. That is still like the scene that I lament the most. I don't know if Revelation probably will never make me like that scene. It's to demonstrate the whisper steering fate. It is Panda Eyes, but like they had countless demonstrations of that before. It felt so unnecessary to do that. For me personally. Snackago, thank you so much for the super. I will also love this trilogy for very personal reasons. It made me a YouTube partner, so I'll never hate any of these games. Snackago, thank you for the super. And I agree. I agree too. The games are like part of my life. I really can't hate them either, no matter where the meta narrative elements go. At this point, I really can't see myself hating 7R. I can't. Would I have done some things differently? Would I have changed some things? I probably would have. But did I crash out when the plot ghosts happened in Remake Part 1 and I fucking hated it? I did. But at this point, I feel like I've just come to like this point where it's just been part of my life. And the games have had an impact on me. And they've given me some really great experiences. So, you know, by the end, I really can't see myself hating 7R. No matter what silliness they do with the ending or don't do, I can still see myself loving this series basically until the end. At this point, it's like Lost. I just want to see what the fuck they're even trying to cook. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel too. I'm just trying to figure out what it is that they're trying to do. Like what is this? Like what is this? That for me is almost like a bigger question than like do I enjoy it? I just want to know what is this? Like what are they doing? Is it a remake? Is it not a remake? Is it a sequel? It's not a sequel. Like, why did you choose to remake the game like this and not remake it in another way? I just want to know. Like, everything. Vaughn saying, no longer a KH fan because of how stupid the stories got. More than happy to do the same for 7R if they keep fucking up with the meta narrative. See, for me, I don't need KH as a story to make sense. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you have to like, if you do all this and that, KH will make perfect sense. I'm actually more interested in KH these days. Me too. KH kind of hit like a bottom for me with Dream Drop Distance, I think, and then kind of the vanilla release of 3 and before Remind hit and such. And then also Remind story portion was pretty bad too. Basically outside of like, you know, I guess like the data fights and stuff. But yeah, so Kingdom Hearts kind of left off on a low, but it's actually been so long since Kingdom Hearts that I feel like really kind of excited for Kingdom Hearts again. I think you're more interested in KH because of its implication on verses. I mean, yeah. But I'm also interested in KH too. Like, don't be mistaken. Part of it is just because seeing that they can improve the battle system of 3 and start to make it actually kind of decent, then I think it's gonna be good. I didn't finish all of the Remind data fights now, so we actually still have to go back through that. We're gonna string Kingdom Hearts 2 soonish. But I think what happened with 3 is just that I was so defeated with Kingdom Hearts at that point. I couldn't even do it. I was just like, I had to come back to this, and then I never did. But I do want to go back and finish them and do Yuzora. I think the meta narrative is the coolest thing about it. Honestly, we're gonna get Ocarina of Time remake, and it's gonna be 1-to-1, and it'll tickle the nostalgia bone for us 40-year-olds, and then it'll be forgotten. Um, Low key, I think I'd be more interested in Ocarina of Time having plot ghosts than I would Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. The Remind Data fights at Yozora on Critical were the best caged experiences I've ever had, to be honest. Yeah, no, I could tell, like, going back to it, just, like, how much they had, like, really improved aspects of the combat and, like, really figured out the combat design. Um, so I'm actually excited to go back to those and do it. But at the time, I was just so defeated with Kingdom Hearts 3 that I was just like, and again, it came off a Dream Drop Distance where it was just whatever. It's very funny too because most people are like, people just didn't like Kingdom Hearts 3 because of the expectations. But I actually went into Kingdom Hearts 3 with like the most hater expectations ever. I actually went into Kingdom Hearts 3 fucking blackpilled on the series. So I don't believe that everyone who didn't enjoy 3 uh, necessarily is because like it just was impossible for the game to meet their expectations. I don't agree with that. Because I was mad black pilled on 3. I was like, this game is going to be ass, and I said that in part because I really was not feeling combat and Dream Drop Distance and Birth by Sleep. The story of Birth by Sleep I really liked, uh, but the combat of Birth by Sleep I was like, okay, this is not it. And I went in the Dream Drop Distance, and I was like, and this team is gonna be making fucking 3. I was like, this shit is going to feel like it is going to feel weightless and it is not gonna have the type of snappy flow. Um, and yeah, sure enough, it didn't. What about Birth by Sleep's combat? Did you not like? I don't like command deck like at all. I don't. I'm not a fan of cooldowns, generally speaking, like that. And the way you use it there, and you kind of just go into an arena full of enemies and then just mash the really powerful commands, and it's not snappy. Terra's gameplay sucks balls, honestly. Ventus and Aqua are okay, but Terra's gameplay fucking sucks. The combat flow just isn't good. And then again, it's been years since I've touched these games, but Dream Drop Distance is kind of the opposite of Birth by Sleep, where I feel like Flow Motion just has me like bouncing all over the fucking walls, and uh it just command deck is way better than the clunky ass cage to menu. Vaughn, get your ass the fuck out of here. Dumbass. That's my friend, by the way. Just so y'all know. I'm a dream drop truther. Brother, more like dream dropped on your head. Nah, I'm just playing with you, bro. Now, like I said, I want to give the caveat. I haven't played those games in a really long time. So I might actually go back to them and be like, oh, actually, I was wrong. I'm going based on memory of me playing these games like 10 plus fucking years ago. So 358 played kind of decent for a DS game. Low key, low key. they gonna come for me for this. But I think 358 and Recode It play way better than Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance. And I actually think it's not even close. I actually think 358 plays way better than BBS. But I really like the idea of BBS. Also thought the command deck in Recode It was better than the command deck in BBS and Dream Drop. I actually think that maybe Recode It was the only time I really remember liking the command deck. If you go back to play BBS, play it with mods. I will. I see that there are some mods that make the game actually pretty decent from what I hear. I think it's called, what is it called? The Better Battle System mod or something like that. And people say that that actually makes BBS kind of play pretty good. But honestly, Vaughn, like the thing that makes me kind of like not enjoy BBS combat as much um is mostly in like the weight and animations that kind of like I feel like are sorely missing from Kingdom Hearts 2. There is a specific feeling of satisfaction that comes from hitting an enemy in Kingdom Hearts 2 that does not come in most of the games after Kingdom Hearts 2. And 1 has it as well. There's like an impact to the animation that feels so fucking good in Kingdom Hearts 2. And I have not felt that satisfaction with most of the games after. But I'm hoping that in Kingdom Hearts 4, yeah. I also agree with Recoded being the best command deck. Yeah. Yeah, it was good. Problem is you don't always get to use it, yeah. But yeah, when you hit an enemy in KH2 is good. Yeah, there's a flow to it. It's too perfect. Oh my god. The particle effects, the animation, the weight of the animation, the physics. Like when you hit an enemy in Kingdom Hearts 2, it feels fucking good. God, it feels good. Like all the oh, it's so good, man. It's so good. Action games are really tricky, man. It's really tricky to make a good action game. It takes really, really specialized skill across many different disciplines to make a high quality action game because, um, just even something like the sound effects not being right, not feeling satisfying, can completely ruin the entire experience. And until you're working on games yourself, by the way, so if you ever tried like making like your own like little indie game, you will so quickly realize how important sound effects are to making a game fun. Sometimes I think sound effects are the thing that makes video games fun. Try playing a game and turning off all the sound effects, and you'll be like, wow, this is ass. It is not fun at all. Sound effects are so crucial. I'm actually replaying Kingdom Hearts 2 right again for the third time. I don't understand what y'all mean by that. Vaughn, you can't be helped. You cannot be helped. But I think the best example is the super boss in Birth by Sleep. And how poorly designed that fight is kind of like it's kind of emblematic of the entire game's combat design. Like I feel like you don't really see a high level. Maybe I'm speaking out of my ass. I don't know. There might be a video you guys can show me right now that would disprove this. But I don't really think I've seen high level Birth by Sleep gameplay. Does that make sense? Like I've never seen, again, maybe it's out there and I just don't know about it, but I haven't personally seen high level birth by sleep gameplay that made me go, wow, I would never think about doing that. Um, I've never seen that. Whereas with Kingdom Hearts 2, for example, and honestly, even 3, there is so much stuff where it's like, oh shit, that's way creative. I would have never thought about doing that. Yeah, the super bosses are dog water because that's what the combat system is. Because that's the combat system at the highest level. Like that's what it is. I don't think BBS is made for that, and that's the problem. For me at least. Not objectively, maybe. People can still enjoy it regardless of what I think. But that's why I disconnect from it. Is because yeah, I'm sure that there's somebody out there who figured out how to be combo mad or something with BBS, but like all I remember about BBS is that you can easily grind out spells and shit early in game. That makes things like things like Mega Flare in the first Disney World, right? And then once you do, it's just like, okay, I just walk into a crowd of enemies and then I use this command and then that's it. And Makachab makes KH3 look more skill expressive than 2, but KH2 is KH2 is my personal goat because of the combat feel. Yeah. Sorry about that. I lost the chat for a second. The command deck are fundamentally different games. They're closer to command-based RPGs than the type of action games of 1 and 2. That's fair. But I prefer the type of action game that 1 and 2 are. And I think most people do. So high level gameplay of BBS is using the ultimate commands. Right. But I think from the perspective of 1 and 2 and what people are kind of wanting from the series, yeah. Want to see a funny way to beat Data Roxas on crit level 1? Yeah. Yeah, because there's always a funny ass way to do something. Are you arguing that BBS is a bad game or just not as good as other KH games? Neither. I'm just arguing that I didn't enjoy it as much. I don't really argue that anything's a bad game or not. That's not really what I do. Like, even like with 16, which is a game I really don't like, I don't really ever say like, oh, 16's bad. I just say that like is not what I want, which is harder, it's just more direct to the point. And we can have a more productive conversation than me just saying, oh, it's bad. Let's take a look at this. Nah. Nah, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. I did this for 5 minutes. See, and like some people will look at this and say like, oh, Kingdom Hearts 2 has like broken stuff too. But I think for me, I would have never done this shit. Right? And it's not like, oh, this stands out as like the default strategy or like one of the most viable strategies. You kind of just discover that while playing. It's not like it's not like that's what most people did to defeat him. Whereas if you think about mysterious figure, most people did just mash the surge command because what the fuck else do you do other than surge and dodge, right? Is that considered breaking the rules or is that intended by design? Um, Exploiting the rules, maybe. I'm sure if a combat designer saw that, he'd be like, ooh, let me fix that. But I guess, unless it's hacking, I wouldn't really consider it breaking the rules. You can actually cheese most human bosses in KH2 with Peter Pan. He's so OP. Yeah. I remember the narrative back in 2005 was KH2 is press triangle to win. I mean, to be fair, that is true of the pre-final mix version of Kingdom Hearts 2. But honestly, Kingdom Hearts 2 was still beloved before Final Mix. I think a lot of people act like Kingdom Hearts 2 was not loved on day one, and it was. Like, it was absolutely loved on day one. Like, people loved easy ass Kingdom Hearts Vanilla 2. They did. The narrative that everyone hated Kingdom Hearts 2 until Final Mix is kind of a lie. People loved Kingdom Hearts 2, but then they fucking loved it after Final Mix. But also, like, most people in the West didn't play Final Mix until, like, PS3 came out. And honestly, at that time, at least anecdotally, like, me and all my friends, we fucking love Kingdom Hearts 2. A lot of us were children. The media hated how Kingdom Hearts 2 is right. People point to, like, the IGN review of Kingdom Hearts 2, and they're like, people hated Kingdom Hearts 2 at release. And I'm like, no, bro. One IGN reviewer did not like Kingdom Hearts 2. And then you go back and look. First of all, the Metacritic was good for the game. It was one IGN reviewer. Most people still like the game. Most of us, again, yeah, like you said, we're fucking children. And we were not good at action games at that point. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. So we liked pressing triangle and seeing, like, the fucking cool-ass animation happen. Also, a lot of you, let's just be real here. Let's just be real for a second. A lot of you were dying on Dance Water Dance Kingdom Hearts 2 normal mode. A lot of y'all were struggling with that shit. I know so many people growing up who were like, oh, I fucking died so many times. Whenever that phase would come up. I was getting cooked. Bro. I think I had to do that like 5 or 6 times. At least. Maybe more. Before I started to, like, get semi-decent at it. Zaldin was different, right? Yeah. A lot of y'all needed Mickey to show up. So I think the idea of Kingdom Hearts 2 launching with a critical mode would have been nice. But honestly, for the target audience who was playing it at the time, bro, they would not have been able to do it. I've never heard people complain Kingdom Hearts 2 was too easy. It was at launch, technically. But only if you were like a 25-year-old man playing it or older at launch, then yeah, you probably thought that shit was too easy. But most of us were like most of us were like somewhere between like 10 and 15, bro. And that shit kicked our ass. KH2 Proud kicked me in the ass as a kid. Yeah, bro. That shit clapped my fucking cheeks as a kid. That shit was the hardest game in the world to me until Souls. Yeah. I'm saying, bro. Like, You know, it's kind of a perspective thing. The toughest challenge of playing Kingdom Hearts 2 is finishing the Atlantica stages before your family saw what you were doing. And you gotta make sure they see you in Port Royal or something. Yeah, because you gotta look hard, right? You can't look like you're playing like the Little Mermaid game. You have to look like, nah, this is this is the new Final Fantasy, mom. I promise I'm cool. I got caught every time, bros. Like, why are you playing a Winnie the Pooh game? Aren't you 16? No, don't bully me, mom. Here's a good example. You get Explosion, the most OP finisher in the game after Agrabah won before the halfway point of the game. The game was way too easy with how many OP finishers you got early. Yeah, but like alternatively, Explosion fucks. God. You want to talk about the perfect combination of animation, sound effects, and game feel? Explosion as a finisher? Oh, I be exploding, Chad. Shit. Explosion feels so goddamn good. Cage tricked so many Christian parents into buying the game for their kids because they thought it was a cute, silly game for kids. And then you fight man sex and darkness. Yeah, I know. Yeah. They did move it to Tron, right? Like they moved Explosion later on in in Final Mix. Yeah, because it's the second Tron visit, and you do the MCP thing, and then you get Explosion KH2 Final Mix. I think the Agrabah thing you're talking about was Vanilla KH2. Can't wait for Jared Leto and Cage. Yeah, KH2 is just my goat. That being said, I'm approaching Cage Force combat with a very open mind. Uh, I feel like it doesn't have to feel like Kingdom Hearts 2. It just needs to feel like a high quality action game in the style of Kingdom Hearts, generally speaking. And yeah, I'll probably end up liking it. Every KH game aspires to be its own unique experience. In fact, the least unique experience Kingdom Hearts games are usually the mainline ones, which stick a little bit closer to like what Sora is supposed to be. But like for the most part, each KH game still tries to ultimately offer. Yeah. What's the next game? What's your next game to play, NSP? I think I actually want to fire up Lies of P soon. I've been meaning to play it for quite some time. And I'm in a pretty soulsy mood right now. Just give me an improved version of Remind Combat with KH2 summons, yeah. I think so too. I don't think 4 has to be like Kingdom Hearts 2. The only thing that I really want from Kingdom Hearts 2 in 4 more than anything else is the physics and combat feel. I feel like that should be in all of them. But I think everything else can be subjected to change and be made more interesting. But I haven't, and the only reason I say that honestly is because I just don't feel like the physics of the post 2 games have been as good as 2. Or like the weight of the animations and such, they just haven't been as satisfying. So if they can bring that aspect back, then I'd be really happy. But I don't think it needs to be exactly like 2 in every other aspect. I think that's ridiculous. Like, right? I'm not trying to get Kingdom Hearts 2 remake or Kingdom Hearts 2 2. I understand them not wanting to do that, and I don't think that they should even. But I just want like a lot of the aspects of KH2 that made that game feel good weaved into whatever ambitious thing they want to do with Kingdom Hearts combat next, because I think a lot of those aspects ended up making the games feel good. No, bro, played recently KH2 Final Mix, and I got exposure to Agrabah. I think the abilities order changes when you decide which weapon you choose with Roxas at the start of the game. Maybe. But I'm pretty sure in 2 Final Mix it is after the MCP, I thought. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. When Sora turns into an astronaut to fight Noctis and Shibuya, whatever the fuck, it's gonna be Kino, bro. You don't understand, Crossy. It's gonna be Kino. Okay. I think we will call it a stream here, but the party doesn't stop because we're gonna raid Blitz. I am wishing all of you a very happy and wonderful weekend and a conclusion to August. I love you all, and I will see you all on Monday. You guys take care. Love you so much, and peace.